Yeah.
So Shirley, is your entrance on
What?
Is your entrance on 9th?
On 30, it's
Right.
Fifth Avenue.
It's on
30.
It's on 5th.
Yeah, on Fifth
Hey,
Avenue.
guys.
Corner of 10th and
Oh,
29th.
Joining on Amtrak.
So a bit closer to it, I see.
Hope that Wi-Fi holds up.
Down the block.
Everything.
That's great.
We walk together.
Uh,
So what made you decide to join the
Yeah,
Parks
sorry.
Committee? I just,
Well, I think
Yes,
it's always, I care a lot about nature.
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
I use the parks a lot.
Thank you.
So,
All right, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. We're at 6:35. Welcome to the April 2026 CB2 Manhattan Parks and Waterfront Committee meeting. Please sign the attendee sheet. Let's start by introducing yourselves. We'll go around the table. Shirley?
Shirley Secunda, full board member of committee.
Susanna Aaron, Vice Chair of the committee.
Nina Shen, first time joining this.
Will Benish, CB2 member for a while now, but first time on the Parks Committee. Excited to be here.
Yay, thanks.
Ben Listman, committee member. Chris Diggins, committee member.
Eddie, can you, Eddie's on.
Sir, on the Zoom.
Hi, Eddie's there, right?
What's
Oh, is that right? I was wondering where.
Ben's here, Chris is here, oh, Frederica's here. Please please introduce yourself, Frederica.
Frederica C.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, Will and Rich. Okay, 8. Thank you all for coming. It's cold out there. I've said it to everyone. Thanks for making the trip. Thanks for joining. For those who are new, welcome. I guess you didn't get the bring cookies to your first meeting
Oh,
message.
I did.
Yeah.
I totally forgot. I need to,
I warned
I think it's a great idea. I'll put it on my calendar.
That was just a joke. Chris does it every time. Right.
Actually have some Starburst.
No, he This is a short meeting tonight. There's one meeting topic, but that's not how we originally, if anybody else is up, any of our,
Are we getting a presentation from the?
yeah, we're good. Dave Harper is going to speak to us. We have one item. That wasn't the plan. We were going to have another item, but late on Friday, I had to change the schedule. I had to change the topics, and we were going to have a discussion about the new rec center at 388 Hudson. I have handouts for you. But Parks was unable to attend. They weren't ready to attend. And I'll explain more in my second topic, which is in new business. I want to just get us prepared for some big topics that are coming up in the next month or two. Susanna's going to help me with that just to set up and explain that to everyone. So let's start with Dave. Dave is filled in for Elizabeth. Dave, are you there?
I am here.
Right. So I'll turn it over to Dave. I'm sorry, I didn't have your official title.
I'll introduce myself. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Harper. I'm the executive director of the New York City AIDS Memorial. Here at 501c3 nonprofit that oversees the maintenance and programming at the New York City AIDS Memorial Park at St. Vincent's Triangle, which is bounded by 7th Avenue, 12th Street, and Greenwich Avenue. The park, we're entering our 10th anniversary year. The park opened in December 2016, and I've been executive director since 2019. And part of my mandate has been to bring work with the Parks Department to bring cultural opportunities to the park. These have primarily been through one-day activations and events, including concerts, performances, but also in recent years, we've done probably once a year an installation of artwork until 2023, those had been installed on or around the Memorial Pavilion at the corner of 12th and Greenwich. But in 2023 into 2024, we did our first big sculptural intervention in the park, in the center of the park, with a piece by Jim Hodges, esteemed New York sculptor Jim Hodges, which was up for 1 year. It was a piece called Craig's Closet. It was called by the New York Times critic Holland Cotter, a sublime example of memorial sculpture. And now it resides permanently at the New Orleans Museum of Art, which we're very proud of. We are working with Parks again this year to install a new sculpture that will be in from June 2026 through perhaps May of 2027. The Art in the Parks program allows for the installation of sculpture for 1 calendar year. And we are working with the artist Oscar Tuazon on this sculpture, but it's actually even more deep than that, because it's a kind of posthumous collaboration with the artist Scott Burton. Scott Burton was a very important public artist that was based in New York. You may know him he was the artist that designed the Waterfront Plaza at the North Cove of Battery Park, which has, in recent years been subject to some ideas of revision due to some issues that are, water infiltration issues and climate change issues. There was another piece of Scott's that was created in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. It was proposed in 1987, but wasn't completed until 1994, which is 5 years after Scott died of AIDS-related illness. And in 2020, the Parks Department had to decommission it due to damage from Hurricane Sandy. With the help of some partners, we salvaged what was salvageable of Scott's piece in Sheepshead Bay. It was his final commission, in final commission period, and obviously his final commission for the city of New York, and have since subsequently been working with Oscar Tuazon, who's a tremendous artist who does a lot of work in public in Seattle, Boston, Paris, all over Europe and all over the world, to reimagine the salvaged pieces of Scott's work to create a new work for the AIDS Memorial Park. I will share an image with you. I just want to make sure I have the right renderings open.
While you're doing that, Dave, can I just say, this is to be installed in time for Gay Pride weekend?
Oh, yes. The idea is to have our installation will take place from mid to mid-May, mid-May-ish right now. So by June 1, we're hoping to open it on May 30th, but by June and by Pride Month, obviously by the parade, we hope to have all the grass, any grass we have to relay, taken care of and looking good and ready to go.
How long will it be up?
He said
For
it's
1 year.
1 year. And you have images.
Yeah.
So Scott's original piece for Sheepshead Bay was 10 fishing piers that stretched into Sheepshead Bay. And at the end of each fishing pier was a terrazzo, what we call an ottoman. It was like a two-tiered circular sitting structure that was designed for sitting. And from the center of each of those emerged a flagpole that had a kind of an abstracted, what appeared to be an abstracted maritime flag that represented the number of each pier. So what this piece is, and I'll switch to the day view, it's a little easier to see. We are reconstructing this ottoman structure. We're working with a tremendous local vendor who's an expert in terrazzo to recreate these sitting areas. And from the center emerges one of Scott's original flagpoles that's been recreated, as you can see in the night image, to act as an eternal flame. So the piece is called Eternal Flame for Scott Burton. This is not a flame, it's a LED light fixture. And just to give some context, the footprint of this at the base is about 15 feet square, and the flagpole, I think, is about 31 feet to the top. So it'll be quite an impactful piece in the center of the park, but it also provides additional places for people to sit. And the hope is that people will use it to kind of gather, sit, rest, find connection, and think about the artist's work and his impact on the city, and of course, what was lost when he died so young of AIDS-related illness.
I have a question.
Suzanne always asks, what
I
about
have a
people
question.
climbing up?
That's not what I'm gonna ask. I was hoping that you might show us where in the park
Yeah.
it's gonna be situated.
Right?
Well, no, that's
not-
not
that's not
the
the
St.
AIDS
Vincent's
Memorial.
Triangle.
Yeah.
My question
Yeah,
is,
there it
is it in the actual AIDS Memorial
Yeah.
Park or in the St. Vincent's Triangle?
It's hard to tell.
There is no differentiation between the two. You can see in the background of this image, the structure of the memorial is there. That is the northwest corner of AIDS Memorial Park at St. Vincent's Triangle. Then adjacent to that plaza, there's a small grass area. That's where the Jim Hodges sculpture was. I'm also happy to pull a picture of that up. That will give you a little more context.
That might help. Where was
Here's what the original.
What was it?
There was someone in the chat who asked if we're talking about Tony Dapp. We were never going to be talking about Tony Dapp. We were going to be talking about the recreation. We're not talking about the recreation center
Yeah,
tonight.
that's on you. Let's go.
So if you're here to talk about the rec center.
We're gonna do these first. and then we'll-
Could we see the other sculpture and?
Yeah, give me one moment. I'm pulling it up for you.
You see the context of where it is?
Sort of, yeah. I can't tell what street is what. but that's
He's
okay.
gonna show the
Let me
other
reshare this.
same location.
Here's the original in Sheepshead.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
After the members.
The members do.
So,
Yeah, that
Here
was-
you can see this is the actual photographs of the sculpture that we installed, and that's the exact same view there
Okay.
that the rendering uses. So you can see.
So to the right
Yeah, so it's-
is the Northwell Hospital.
Yeah.
Correct. So yeah, you're looking at 12th Street right now.
Okay.
What were the dates of
Thank
that
you. Yeah,
installation?
that makes it
Of
clear.
the, of
Of
the,
that one?
oh yeah, that was a couple years back, right, Dave? When was?
This was 2023 through 2024. It was up for 1 year as well.
Greg's Closet, yeah. Yes.
So are you saying that the AIDS Memorial's park thinks that the entire park is that park? Or do you feel that you have your own boundaries and the rest of it is St. Vincent's Triangle?
Well, we are responsible 100% for the funding and maintaining the 1,600 square feet of the memorial at the corner, but we also pay a percentage of maintenance for the park. So I consider the entire park to be New York City AIDS Memorial Park at St. Vincent's Triangle, which is the name the Parks Department has given it.
Good question, actually.
And the park is maintained also by, it's a POC. It's a privately owned public space that's maintained by the organization and the Greenwich News
I didn't know
condo
that.
board.
And we work very closely with them to maintain the park and to plan all maintenance and upgrades to the park itself, but all the maintenance of the memorial and all the programmings are under our auspices.
Just to explain, it took me a second to remember, it's the condo that was built in what used to be the hospital.
Correct.
The park was built where the hospital was, and as a result, the property is still owned, and it's a privately owned public space.
Right.
The Rudin organization, which was the developer of the campus around it, continues to, from what I understand, Dave, and I'm sure pays for the maintenance of that park.
It's no longer the Rudin organization. It's now the condo board.
Ah, right, okay.
The movie theater that was there? Not the hospital.
Well,
No, the
there was
hospital.
the ventilation system for the hospital
Oh.
was here, and before that, there was a movie theater.
Trucks would go in and then they could go under the street.
Used to go there.
Interesting. Yeah, they could, yeah, Chris, you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, I had a work phone call, so I have a potentially very dumb question. Is there gonna be like a placard explaining what it is? And then I heard 31. Is that like a significant number for 31 feet for the flagpole? So
Not dumb at all. I would have told you there was dumb.
So the 31 feet is, the original flagpoles were about 33 feet in total. We've had to, because of some damage and to install the quote unquote eternal flame, we've shortened it, but I just wanted to give you a sense of the scope.
great.
There's no particular intrinsic value to that number. And I'm sorry, the first question again was?
Oh, is there gonna be like a placard explaining
Oh,
some
yes,
sort
of
of
course.
the, yep.
So there will be, is it visible in this picture? any of these pictures? No. So
Oh, well, I remember. Yeah.
there's a space on the memorial that Parks has designated that we can attach signage to. We can do quite significantly large readable signage there. We'll also have two in-ground signs that are closer to the actual sculpture, so people will understand right away.
Perfect.
And those are designed and have been approved by Parks for previous exhibitions.
Perfect. Thank
As
you.
part of that description, will you have photos of the original artwork? I think that'd be really interesting if so.
I would love to find a way to include that. I think perhaps on one of the two freestanding signs that are near the grassy area, we can have some more background information. But we'll definitely have a QR code on all signs that lead to our website that will be able to connect people to a much more information on Scott, his life, his work, where to find more about him, where his works are exhibited elsewhere in New York, etc.
So,
Great.
sorry, may I? Or no, you don't have to.
No audio component to this one, Dave?
There's currently no plan for an audio component outside of our Bloomberg Connects platform. We are on Bloomberg Connects, as are many cultural institutions in the city. We provide an audio guided tour of the memorial and park and surrounding neighborhood via that platform, and this will be added as a stop on that tour.
Not in the park, not yet. I'm sorry, Suzanne.
Well, I guess the memorial has always been the telling of the narrative. I know that everyone is, no one likes a plaque. I'm a big fan of a plaque. So I'm just looking at your website to see like if someone wants to know the history of AIDS in New York City and why this memorial, the significance of this memorial. I'm not sure, where do I go? So I'm on the New York City AIDS Memorial website, visit and connect or program and events or.
If you would like, we have under resources, you'll see there's a number of things, including information for people that are interested in testing and treatment. And the second one, HIV/AIDS timeline, is a full timeline. We call it an incomplete timeline. Yeah.
And can I ask you, how does a person in the park, visiting the park, access this page?
Through a QR code that's currently on signage on site.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions from community board committee members? Yes.
So is this project going to follow all of the Parks Department protocols for public art?
100%. We have, and we are seeking and we are working on, we haven't officially gotten it yet, but Parks has been involved from the beginning. Parks was involved in the decommissioning of the original sculpture. They're very excited that we have found a way to kind of reimagine it and give it new life. And we are working with Parks very carefully on engineering, applications, insurance, and everything that they require. And this is, we work very closely with Elizabeth Masella on these projects, and Jonathan Kuhn was even so kind enough to give us a quote for our press release, which is great. So I'm very comfortable in saying the Parks Department is fully behind this project, and we'll be adhering to all their protocols.
Okay, good luck.
I know I should have started with that. David, Elizabeth Masella, who you guys all know, she's the senior public art coordinator for Parks. She's the one who typically comes or in conjunction with the artist or the sponsor. This time she had asked me, could I come? And I said, oh, it was going to be a busy meeting. I wasn't sure. And then I said Friday night, hey, please come. And she said, I can't, but Dave's traveling, but he'll rush back. And so we did it. So Elizabeth, apologize for not being here, but she's been very involved with this. So as you remember Elizabeth, right? Yes, ma'am. Please introduce yourself and ask the question.
My name is Anna Shapiro. I just wondered if there.
Stand close to the table.
Yeah, wait, there's a microphone here, so if you don't mind.
Everybody can hear you.
Sorry.
There's no
I
one
just
to know.
wondered if there had been any consideration of the effect on bird flight, bird migration with the eternal flame.
We don't anticipate that the light will be bright enough to impact that. It's not as tall as the tallest tree. We're not putting 10,000 watt lights into it. It's a very, very low wattage LED light, just enough to kind of give the effect of an illumination. So I'm happy to go to our lighting engineer and ask that question. It's not something we have asked, but I don't anticipate that there will be any impact any more than there are any impacts from
Lights.
window lights on in the adjacent apartment buildings. We were very careful to look at to make sure that there was no impact to neighbors, on the higher floors.
Did the lighting, was the lighting the core of your question, or was it the height? Was it?
The lighting.
The lighting, got
Of
it.
course, if it were lower, that would be, but, and then birds nesting in the
Yeah.
park and all of that.
I just wanted to make sure he had addressed the question.
Yeah. Thank you.
I mean, unfortunately, it's going to probably be dimmer than the architectural, the lighting that's on the light posts that are already in the park. And there are, I think, about 25 of those that are quite bright and illuminate the park in the evening.
And the light stays on through the evening, is that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. As Susanna said,
Like a beacon.
After the park is closed? Because that park does close.
It closes at 11, but yeah, we'll likely leave it on throughout the evening. I don't believe the lights are turned off at night. The post lights are on also all night
Okay.
for safety reasons, I believe.
on the monument, okay?
Well, our lights, we're open 24 hours. We don't close off the memorial part. That's open and lit 24 hours. The park itself is closed at 11 p.m., but there are a number of street lights that are kind of old-fashioned post lights that are on 24 hours. I mean, not 24 hours. They're on during times when it's
Dark hours.
Right. Do we see any other questions? Anybody else?
No.
Okay, so it's Scott Burton, and it's Eternal Flame for Scott Burton. All right. well,
And is there a way, if someone wants to learn more about the sculpture online, is there somewhere to go?
Soon it'll be the front page of our website. We've announced it to the press, but we haven't announced it fully to the public because I was waiting for A, to meet with all you, and B, to get the final sign off from the Parks Department, which the meeting with you all is part of.
Thank you so much.
I anticipate by the end of the month at the latest, the end of April at the latest, when you go to nycadsmemorial.org, it will be the first thing you see. We're really proud to be working on this. We have incredible support from the Department of Cultural Affairs, the New York State Council of the Arts, the Ford Foundation, and others to make this happen. I'm seeing a question in the chat, just to remind people about the installation dates. It will take place, the installation process will take place throughout mid-May, and then the sculpture will be unveiled to the public in kind of an official capacity on May 30th. We haven't set a closing date yet, but it will likely be in or around mid-April of 2027.
Okay.
Thank you for having all this information to share.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's not only my job, but my pleasure.
And if, Dave, let me just ask the question, if we write in support, as we do for you, are there any concerns from anybody here that we should list out in our?
My concerns are always a question of park safety, visibility, invitations to lounge after hours and any, bad activities. I don't know, people sleeping there, having sex there, selling drugs there, doing drugs there. That's always the seating area, we have 49 benches in the park already. This is the square footage wise, maybe adds the seating possibility of one or two additional benches, except the fact these are in the center of the park and the most open area. We are people are able to approach it, sit on it. It's being engineered so that it's completely safe for people to do that. And we're working with the engineering firm Arup on getting that all signed off on. So I have the highest confidence that it'll be absolutely safe. And I don't think we'll encourage any additional after hours, anything except for people sitting in a different place and communing with this incredible artwork. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything in there? Valerie, did you have a comment? No, okay. Did she? I thought I saw something come up.
It was resolved.
Okay, thanks. Okay, well, that's great. Thank you again, Dave, for rushing back and making our meeting. And I'll send you, and I'll thank Elizabeth for doing
wonderful. Well, I thank you all. I really always appreciate the support of the committee and the community board in general. The memorial wouldn't be there without all of you. And I hope you all come by and visit the installation if you can come on the 30th of May. I'll send a note out with the date, but if you can come on the 30th of May, I would love to meet you all and say hi. Otherwise, it's going to be up throughout the year.
So Dave, the Parks Committee has an initiative where we are individually, the Parks Committee members are superintending, adopting, worrying about individual parks. And I'm responsible for yours.
Oh, wonderful.
Right. And that could be good or bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Gotta wait
But
and see.
I will be in touch with you. I've also been in touch with the fellow from the resident manager from, I think it's the building, actually.
Greenwich Lane, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, the Greenwich Lane. He's on vacation. But if there's some way that the community board, some way that doesn't involve money or, you know, whatever, let us know if there are any concerns that we can help you with.
You know, I think one of the greatest things that the community board and the parks committee of the community board could do is, because you're so in on, you know, so much about how this park system works and how the parks in our neighborhood work. Most people, most visitors to the park don't understand what this kind of privately owned public space is. And that, you know, in many of these cases, it's a developer or a big condo building that's responsible for the maintenance of these things. In this case, in our case, they're responsible for some of it, but our small organization, which is, you're looking at the entire staff, just me, is responsible for raising, you know, for maintenance and programs upwards of $750,000 every year.
Wow.
So spreading the word about that. It's our 10th anniversary this year. It's going to be a special year. We're going to be doing lots of programming in the fall as well, and throughout the whole 10th anniversary year. I would love to see more people from the neighborhood at our events, especially on important days like World AIDS Day, which is every December 1st. And just talking to your neighbors and people that love the park or that love parks in the city in general, that we always are happy to have donations. We're a 501c3. The hardest thing to raise money for is the maintenance of the park. Programs are a little easier. People get excited about those. People aren't so excited about light bulbs or water pumps or matching the paint color to make sure it's correct and looks good. Those are all really important stuff. Or grass, as Therese says. People aren't really that interested in that. They're interested in other things. So spreading the word about that, letting people know that we are a nonprofit. We're a nonprofit that started to build the park and has lasted 10 years beyond what we even thought we would do. And now we're bringing these. And if you look at our website, you'll see the kinds of programs we do. And so just getting that out to the neighborhood and to the community in CB2, I think would be the most valuable thing for us as we do our best to maintain the park to the highest standards for the community to use. We are also, just so you know, because if you go and you say, oh, speaking of light bulbs, there's some light bulbs that are out. We're in the process of doing a full capital needs assessment on the 10th anniversary. We're working with our original architect and lighting designer, and we hope to have a whole plan to make sure the memorial looks as close to brand new by our 10th anniversary date on December 1st.
Budget.
Capital.
Can I ask you a question then? You raise it, oh, I'm sorry.
You got her hand.
Are you connected with the block associations in the area?
Not particularly, no.
I think that, I don't know if they are in your area. So I think that I live on West 9th Street. We have a block association. People come to our block.
Street House.
Yeah, like I think presenting at those block association meetings and be on their mailing list or like
That's a good idea.
the newsletters, that's a way also to reach the local neighbors.
Thank you, Valerie. I'll look at the website and see if there's a block association that I think makes the most sense.
Right, and also we have CB2 has a good mailing list.
Yeah.
So
Wonderful.
please be in touch with us about that.
Right. Yes.
I never realized that you guys have a maintenance budget, and I'm looking on your website and I don't see it there. I'm wondering if you guys share financials with the public, if that can be posted on your website. I see that your board and your staff is on the website, which is great, and your sponsors and supporters, but since you have a budget, you raise money and you spend money not just on programming or whatever, but also on operations. I think it would be great if the community were able to see some of that documentation on your website.
We're in the process of redoing updating the website for the 10th anniversary, and that's absolutely something I will take under consideration, and I'll talk to our auditors and our council to see if that's something we can do.
Thank you. Yeah, you'll see that a lot of the conservancies in the neighborhood have a place where their financials are, their 1099s or whatever. It's just a way of providing transparency for the public.
I think it makes people who donate feel more
Practice.
comfortable too.
Of course. Yeah, makes sense. Our 990s are all available on GuideStar/Candid and via ProPublica and all those places, but we can get a more kind of, at least a general, this is what we send, this is what we spend on maintenance versus programs versus et cetera.
Yeah, well, whatever you use, whatever you can share directly on your website so that people don't have to go fishing for it. That'd
Of
be
course,
great.
that absolutely makes sense. We'll do. We'll take into consideration, and I appreciate that feedback.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for joining us again.
Well, thank you all so much. I really appreciate all your ongoing support. I love your questions, and I hope to see you all soon at the Memorial Park.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's great that Craig's Closet has got a permanent display.
Yeah, we're really happy. It hasn't been officially announced yet, so don't tell everyone, but
All right, I won't put it in the notes.
joining the sculpture park at the New Orleans Museum of Art. And importantly, the subject of Craig's Closet, Craig Ducote, was from Louisiana, which is why it was so important.
Oh, great.
Nice.
Okay.
Thank you. All
All
right.
right, thanks so much. Be in touch if you have any other questions.
All right, thanks. Okay, new members, that usually the conversations, we have more topics and they're usually, yeah.
Before Dave goes, Pete Davies has his hand up.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Oh, Ralph.
He left. Pete, can you turn Pete on there? I'm sorry, Dave went away.
There's no question.
You can unmute.
Are you able to promote him? Rick?
He usually just wants to talk.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm here.
yes.
Are you doing new business now?
I'm about to do the introduction, Pete, and I'll cover it and then I'll ask for new business. I have two
Okay.
topics. for new
Yeah,
business.
that's where I'd like to comment. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, usually there's more topics and usually there's sometimes some of them are more hotly debated than this one. There are two topics coming up in future months, one that we need to have a position on. And so we have these meetings and we have people come and discuss them, present them, and we create resolutions. And those resolutions go to organizations in the city that want to hear from them. The two topics that we are trying to queue up are one is the idea has to do with Washington Square Park, and one has to do with the block that is 388 Hudson and Dappolito. Maybe we can talk about Washington Square Park gates first. That is that the Washington Square Park has a fence, and actually, do you want to do the history?
Well, I don't know if I know the history as well as you do, but the Washington Square Park has a fence, and I think it was hotly debated whenever that was, 15 years ago, a long time ago. Yeah, it feels like it was a different world. And
The
at the
fence was put in 15 years ago.
Yes.
yeah,
Which,
well, or was it? No, it wasn't put in, but there was all of Washington Square Park was renovated.
That's right.
What, 15 years ago? I don't
A
know.
long time ago.
I have no sense of chronology.
Yeah.
And there was a hot debate, my understanding, because I wasn't really part of that conversation, about the gates, the fence around the park shouldn't be too high. It's not in the tradition of Washington Square Park, blah, blah, blah. So Washington Square Park has a bunch of entrances, including a sort of problematic one with the arches. And the park does close. And I think for a long time, they had a chain across it, that a very subtle marcation that the park was closed. And I remember that the police came to us and said, we're having a problem with people in the park after hours. And what happens is the first one goes in, takes the chain down or moves the sign, and then we go in and say, you're in the park after hours, and they can say, oh, I had no idea. So the precinct was asking if we could support, am I right about this?
Well, they put it, and then they put, instead, they put these French barricades, which they store next to the openings. There are 9.
They're on wheels.
There are 9 openings, and there's a 10th, which is the whole area in front of the arch. And there were gates designed when the new fence was designed and installed, but as a sort of there was a decision made at the time not to install the gates. And we can talk all about this at the meeting. But there are a couple things. One, these French barricades, which you see they're set next to the openings during the day, are rolled out at the closing time, and they're chained there. But they are not impossible to move.
And they're ugly.
And they're not historic.
Just like the bike barricades, right?
Yeah.
It's like the
French
parade
barricades.
barricade.
Yeah,
exactly.
And so somebody moves it, again, the police have, they go in there periodically during the night, depending on how busy they are fighting crime or around there. And if there's somebody in there, they say the park's closed, and the people say the barricade,
Was open.
it was open. Or they walk in through the arch, right? So all the signs show hours, but they're not blinking, it's not obvious. So over the last few years, for a variety of reasons, there have been requests that we reopen the topic, including by the precinct, saying it would be really valuable if we could figure out a way to more definitively lock it at night, and by neighbors who said to more beautifully lock it at night, less.
Make it more aesthetic.
More aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, it would never be something that you can't jump over. It's not going to be a 10-foot high fence, but it would be more of a
Like a
discouragement.
You might,
Right.
like that, yeah, there you go.
You just showed that, that's great.
So I have a
So,
question.
yeah, let me just finish one thing.
Okay, not
So
done.
the question is, so you might ask, why is this a big issue, right? I mean, why is this a concern? Well, it is a heated topic for some. And there are those who believe the park should be open all night, and they don't believe it should be closed, or they think that they think the gates not being included was a compromise at the time of the renovation. And elected officials have always been too afraid, I guess, or to weigh in. And so they're asking us, everybody's saying, can you at least have the community discuss the topic? Yes.
So my question is, has it been documented what kind of activities are going on there after hours?
if we're-
That really would provide for the need for this.
But I
I'm
chime in on that?
Yep. No, this is good. I want to get the questions so that we prepare the conversation. So that, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure that there's data on 311 that can be pulled for that area.
Yeah.
Parks
Right.
Department.
There's also
Cops should do it.
311 aside, that's my neighborhood, and
Yeah.
and I'm always going by there, probably 5 times a week. And during the time that the northwest corner was under siege by the
The open air drug market.
it was really a blight. It was like a weight. And it was an entire quadrant of the park that was really, it was really off limits. The police have done such a good job, and the Conservancy, I think, and Will have done such a good job of bringing that sector back, that that anything that we can do to perpetuate that, to aid that, I think is really important.
Okay.
Would I like it to be aesthetic? Yeah, I would like it to be aesthetic, but I would mostly like it to be effective. And I don't want to lose ground. I notice that every day on the west side, the police have a van parked. I don't know if there's anybody in the van,
There are.
okay? But the presence of the van is a real deterrent. And
Yeah.
all you need is that van and maybe one cop going around to really give the population the feeling that it's being taken care of. So if we can help with the gates,
Well,
I think we're beyond the point of no gates, really.
okay, well, let's focus. So what questions, so there's a new council member, this is, and we tried to trick him into having the conversation without knowing how heated it was. But I tipped him to the fact that it's a.
This is Epstein?
Yeah. I mean, we said, why don't you have a meeting about gates? And then I said, no, you should know it's a heated thing. But you saw last week or last month when we just talked about the signage, people get upset about it. So it's the right thing to do to have that. I just want to know what other questions, just a couple of things, like obvious one is, how will the area around the arch be?
That was my question.
And you can't put a fence there. How will that be blocked? How will it convey closure? Right? Things like that, there's discussions around how much it will cost, we'll get all those things, but anything else that jumps out, no questions are stupid.
And I
or
would
dumb.
say, just remember that this is about the discussion, the programming of it, right? The idea, the aesthetic will be dealt with should the discussion come out with wanting to move forward with having gates. Then it would then
That's it, yeah.
then the aesthetics of it would then be from an application to LPC,
That's
then
right.
going to landmarks. Yeah.
And it's design.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, who's next?
I think Chris.
All right.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So just so I know the history, so before COVID,
Yeah.
are you saying they had just a chain that went across, or was it that there was
before COVID?
they had these also?
Yeah,
I would just
been there a long time.
There was a change.
okay.
They were all.
They weren't always there. They were.
I remember during a discussion where Catherine Swan pointed out that part of the Conservancy, part of their agreements with the police, they got the chains and they agreed upon the barricades. So there's this established notion that there never had to be the barricades, there never had to be chains. And Ms. Swan was frustrated that the chains were purchased by the Conservancy on behalf of the NYPD in the first place. So that's a moment, that's a different conversation. But then I also wanted to mention too, that in every park in all 5 boroughs, they all close at dusk. So it's a logical fallacy to me to have the NYPD have an extra reason to tell people that the park is closed, because the parks are closed in all 5 boroughs at dusk, including. So I don't think there's a reason to have to justify an extra gate, but we can talk with them about that if they have an extra explanation about why that would provide, because I don't see it.
Would just be falling in line with the policy of all the parks.
It is, even in all 5 boroughs, they all close at dusk.
I mean, Central Park's a little later, but Central Park closes. It's amazing.
That's right.
Park closes.
That is correct.
And also
That's my
the
You're right.
St. Vincent's, which has a very big opening right by the AIDS park.
Right.
They have a way of closing.
Yeah.
It is possible.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said too about how Gramercy Park is very obviously not the model that we're searching for here. So,
Which
so
is, that's exactly right.
I want to bring that up just because it's not good.
It's a good debate, and please think about it. And when you walk by, think about it and look for things. You'll see there's a missing piece of the fence right now. That's not a gate. It's just, and it's expensive to replace. I think, I forget the quote. It's a lot of money just to.
Landmarks aside, sure.
But there are a lot of, I mean, Sharon's always been pretty about this. Sharon, are you on?
Saw her before.
Yeah.
I wrote her down.
Yeah, I saw Sharon was on.
Maybe she doesn't want to.
Blocked, yeah.
Maybe she logged off. I can't tell.
No,
would.
you see her there? I can see.
It's active, so let's see.
Yeah,
Participants.
yeah.
It is interesting, I think, if you compare, like you mentioned Gramercy, there's also that you have a public park that's very close to Gramercy, which is Stuyvesant Square, and they do have gates, I believe. I don't know if they close them though.
At
night.
Generally, in
They have gates, Stuyvesant Square. Stuyvesant Square, I think, has gates.
Okay.
people go around.
I know of has gates.
Stuyvesant Square is, I believe that's a public park, yeah.
And Carter,
Not Stuyvesant Town, Stuyvesant Square.
any other,
So I think the question of how much money we'd have to spend on it is an interesting question. I think the question that Shirley raised of like, can we hear the justification for it? I also think that, the hoopla over the park from 15 years ago, whenever it was, that was before COVID. And I think that we've seen the park is so lively that it drives us insane. I mean, if you walk through the park, all you see are violations of park rules, like one after the other. So I don't really think that Washington Square Park is in peril of becoming stifling to human expression. And I don't think that gates would
I don't
interfere.
get too much into the debate tonight. I just want to lay it out and just make sure if there's information that you think would be valuable for the conversation, please, send it in. Let's get it. It's about choreographing that conversation to be as effective as it can be.
Is the community board on record for anything that would prevent us from advocating for gates? Have we made resolutions in the past against gates? Because
We have.
Yes, which is why we would have to have a discussion about it.
But how recently?
A long time ago.
Long time ago.
It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
a long time ago.
Long time ago.
I mean,
Which is why the need for the discussion. Also, I know Carter has his hand up.
Yeah, I think it was mean, Carter, you can remind me, you found it recently. I think it was back when Benepi was there, someone proposed this and this as a compromise, and it sort of calmed everybody down. But let me call on Sharon first, and then Carter, Sharon.
Yeah, so you do plan on having a community discussion about this, a meeting specifically?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes, we've been asked to have this conversation.
And you would post it in several places so people really know about it and understand?
Yeah, and we have a big space. We have a big space, not this office. We'll have a big room.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would object to that park being closed at dusk. I'm sure about that.
Well, I don't think on the table is the dusk time. The time is.
I hope not, because that park is great in the summer. A lot of people cannot afford air conditioning, and they go there and there's singing and it's a beautiful thing, and so midnight. Okay, I understand. Midnight,
that's what it is.
Okay, but dusk, that was a scary thought.
That was.
I don't believe we're here to debate the hours at this meeting or at next month's meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
There's some who think that, all right. Carter, can I give you a chance, Carter?
So the debate originally was when they were renovating the park, and there was a lot of controversy around that. But originally the park had been a bus turnaround and was always open. And then that changed. And then the park had a closing time, and people didn't like that. And so there was an agreement that the council member at the time had made, and the gates were removed. Even though the gates were part of the original design, they're already designed, the plans are already there. So in the interim, what we've seen is a whole symbolism of French barricades, which are police barricades, basically locking the park. And they take a lot to close the park. They're not very attractive. And most regular gates have different positions, so you can signal in a very passive way that the park is closing by closing one gate and leaving the other one partially open. And it's also quick to do, so park employees can do that very quickly. And it's a much more efficient process. Right now, the whole process of closing the park, particularly during COVID, became a whole other issue. And the barricades being everywhere and the barricades being used for so many police activities. And this is really bringing, I think, bringing the park in line with almost all other New York City parks. It's not to change anything except making it easier to close the park, taking away some of the symbolism that's there and the chains and everything else. But the park does close, and the Parks Department's been very clear to us about that the park has a closing time, and that's not going to change. I mean, and the time, they're not suggesting changing the time, but that they do close the park. And this is a much better way to communicate to everybody in a normal fashion. Hey, the park's going to be closing soon. We're going to put the gates in a certain position and then eventually close the park as people leave the park. When there were the chains, people often didn't just go into the park, they walked through the park. So the barriers would get pushed open as people walked through the fountain to the other end. And then that created all these other issues. And it also required over-policing of the park because it was very easy to enter into the park. Another topic at the time was the height of the fence. When the park was redesigned. And the fence is not that high. I mean, if somebody wanted to go over it, they could easily go over it. It was just to have just a clear definition of where the park boundary was. And one of the things, is the park is very beautifully planted, and everything else is just to keep people from, walking through all the areas. So I think that the police request is just that the gates they're supportive of it because it's just not clear. It's very hard for them to close it using the police barricades. And as Chris had brought up, they had to go buy all these chains, and it gets locked up and, chained up. And it's just not very attractive. If you go to Tompkins Square Park, I think that what they do at Tompkins Square Park is exactly what, people are looking to have happen here.
All right. Well, yes. Any other questions that we should prepare or any other comment?
Yeah, I feel like we should probably clarify too, is this only an NYPD request? Is PEP on the same page? So
Yeah, we'll have,
There we go.
I mean, both, I think there'll be,
get all the reps out.
yeah, the reps, the local buildings, the
Landmarks committee.
yeah, they should.
But what is
yeah.
what is the latest that it could close? Because dusk,
No, we're not, forget about the discussion of closing time.
right,
That's not up for.
but if you wanted to fall in line with the park's policy.
Chris is incorrect. That's not every place
Sorry.
closes at dusk.
Okay,
I didn't mean to lie to you.
What,
And he wasn't purposely lying.
It's not malicious. It was just sorry,
Yeah.
everybody involved.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
where would the budget come from to put the gates?
Yeah, that's part of the cost conversation, and they're expensive, and they're ornate, we'll have the
it's
design.
conservancy kind of thing.
Might be, yeah, might be. It's capital, not,
Yeah, is it from the city budget or is it like need to be fundraised?
yeah.
I think it's going to be a mix of both, and I believe that our electeds will come through with a portion of that. But yes, it will need to be fundraised for.
Are yet to be elected.
Yeah, it'll take, it won't happen overnight. It won't happen at dusk one day. All right, any other, who else? Carter, did you have anything else? I kind of cut you off, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, I just wanted, there's been a lot of discussion and a lot of support for putting the gates on, but I think you touched on it earlier that it's not something new. It's just a difficult conversation. But I think that after going through COVID, there's a whole other dimension in this, and the park redesign happened so long ago, and this was part of a compromise of a whole bunch of things.
That's right.
In that. And I think that the time has moved forward, that we're now a decade and a half later, and I think it's worth reopening and having that conversation again. And I think that that's something that has been expressed by many, many people for some time. And so having this is just an extension of that conversation with many different groups.
That's true.
I see.
I think-
Yeah, Sharon, do you have another comment? I may have cut you off too.
Yeah. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I suggest that you post this meeting in all the senior centers. Make sure all of them know about this, because the seniors are really great about having an opinion, you know.
And the history, yeah.
Just ask me.
Post 7 p.m.
Okay.
I think it might help
yeah.
framing the conversation as not as this is a new thing, but we already closed
Yeah.
the gates, the park.
Yeah.
What's a better way
That's
to?
Maybe that's right, yeah. And we'll talk, there are some safety questions.
Late for
and-
that.
No, it's,
Much history.
I think it's a great point. It's, because some people really get upset about how ugly the barricades are, or the message they send. So in some ways, it's just an improvement on that. Yeah. Yes.
I went back as far as you could go on Google Maps, 2009.
Yeah.
You can see the fence was a lower fence back then.
Yes, that's right.
Still a fence, and look, they still had the French barricades like
Oh, yeah.
alongside.
Yeah.
Even back then, which is kind of
But
interesting.
Yeah.
I have a comment on the fence. I've never seen anybody be able or even try to climb that fence or climb over that fence. Maybe, I don't know. I think it would be impossible, but anyway, I think it's quite high enough that no one would dare, I don't think.
I mean, it's not that high.
Think-
Okay.
Yeah.
Therese have her.
Therese, I was hoping to call in Therese, yeah.
Yeah, hi. So
Yes,
my
Flores.
camera isn't working, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. So these barricades are very easy to get over, and so the park's operating hours really extends us beyond our ability to maintain the park. And the things that go on at night, like the broken glass, like during COVID, we were like the second nightclub to everybody's desires, and it still continues to be like someplace people will bring a lot of glass and break it. So the mornings, especially Monday mornings, are very difficult. So stopping that overnight activity, not closing the park like early, closing the park when it gets closed, which is midnight or 1 a.m. now. And it really adds to our maintenance to have so many things to clean up from a night of whatever goes on.
There's another.
Justification from NYPD as we've
Yep.
discussed, and also from the Parks Department, like why would this be helpful?
Yeah, the official is midnight, but but if, if the police don't come and move barricades, it's whenever they're able to come do it, or Parks. Does Parks close it, or do the police close it?
The police close it at the moment. Parks does assist.
Right. But if they're involved in something, there are certain areas in the park that may close. I mean, the playground, I think, closes, or that perhaps that's at dusk.
Maybe that's the dusk one.
Yeah, the playgrounds close earlier.
Yeah, that might have been.
I assume that's when I leave.
Yes, that's exactly right. I think the dog parks, yeah. Okay, all right, so that's that. Just be prepared, bring a snack, bring water. It's gonna be a long meeting.
When is it during, like May 5th, next?
Yeah, it's the next one, and tomorrow morning.
It's gonna be at the same place where we have the full board meeting.
Oh, yeah.
NYU.
I gotta get
Clear your calendar.
All right, so that's that one. The
9 hours.
The second new business topic that we was what we were hoping to talk about today, and then Parks couldn't make it. And the truth is, it would have been rushed, and Valerie's suggestion was right. We needed more space because people were signing up to discuss it. And this is that we as a group, Parks Committee and Waterfront Committee, will need to come do a resolution on Dappolito.
On Dappolito?
On Dappolito. And let me, there's Dappolito, we've had many meetings about it. We can be prepared. But, and Dappolito's been closed for a long, long time. In fact, I asked people, did you ever go in there? And they're like, it's been closed forever. Yeah, so it's been 5-6 years. Yeah, as we know, what happened recently was there was a request made when there was a proposal sent out to who wanted to be involved in 388 Hudson, that a rec center be included as part of the scope. That was presented, the whole building was presented to the land use last month. Frederica's on that committee. I went to the meeting, and the conversation about Dappolito was kept separate. Parks Department said, please consider the building and not Dappolito. I said that we would discuss Dappolito at a Parks Committee meeting coming up. But there's been some reports from it. There's an article here that I printed for people. The rec center that's in there, the proposed rec center that would be in the proposed building at 388 was shown. There were 3 slides that showed renderings of what's being planned. Also, a new rec center, Parks Department rec center. With they talked about the fee, which would be extremely low.
$5.
Yeah, it was if you're older than a certain age, it's free. If you're younger than a certain age, it's free. So there was a
they're saying they want to know, it's New York YIMBY, new renderings revealed for Hudson Mosaic at 388 Hudson Street in Hudson Square, Manhattan.
Yeah, if you just do a search for 388 Hudson Mosaic, that's the name of the building. And there are several articles. This one that I printed is valuable just in that it included some of the renderings that were presented.
It's from December 22nd.
Michael Young and Matt
I have it. I'm just saying maybe somebody wants to put the link in the chat. So
yeah, how could it be December? Because it wasn't presented. Maybe they added it. I don't know.
It says, it does say here.
could also link to the original presentation, which is on our website.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, yes. And as I said, there are just 3 slides that talk about that. But what has happened also in the interim is that there's this ongoing discussion about Dappolito. If you remember at one of our meetings, Parks Department, the then Manhattan Borough Commissioner, Shimamura, who is now the Parks Department Commissioner for the entire city, gave a presentation talking about focusing on keeping the outdoor pool in place, the Keith Haring wall in place, and turning the building into more of an aquatic center. And that was this idea, but there was no details about it. There is a pledge, and part of the reason Parks is hesitant to talk about it until they're ready is there was a pledge made at the time to get an expert to come in and weigh in on what can be saved in the existing facility. And they have not hired that person. That person obviously hasn't done the report.
Not.
They haven't hired or done a report. I just want to point out, and this is part of a theme here. The Parks Department supplied an expert who came and spoke to us, if you recall.
I do.
I thought he was quite credible. Andrew Berman questioned his experience, his expertise, and suggested that perhaps he was not a credible witness because of he was paid for. He was an employee of the Parks Department. I thought the gentleman was very
Straightforward.
He was not offended. He has since left the Parks Department. But the agreement by Parks was to find a impartial third party, which to take a look at it, and they want that person to come in.
Maybe that gentleman is now an impartial third party.
Yeah, maybe.
Or employed by the park.
So now he's impartial?
He went to I forget. Anyway, so they want to do that. Parks also told me they have more about the new 388 they want to convey. So it's kind of the reason it's a difficult conversation is sooner or later, we need to do a resolution as a Parks Department about what we think about what's being proposed for Dapolito. Nothing officially has been proposed by Parks by Dapolito officially. There've been conjecture. In addition, we never really, it's kind of weird. We never really scoped the rec center at 388 Hudson. Which one might argue we probably should have had a say in.
Are you saying that only the land use committee scoped that?
No.
Because there were
I'm not sure.
4 different resos about that.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, we didn't
All
say,
land use?
we didn't say we want a yoga studio and we would like a sauna.
Oh, we didn't
and
do
it
the
has-
scope, but we did the concept.
Yeah. We requested that there be an indoor pool and that there be a regulation sized gym. I don't think we did anything more specific
Are
than
we
that.
talking about 388?
Yes.
Yeah.
388.
Right. I mean, we
Resos
definitely
About a
requested.
full service multi.
Yeah, we want it to be like a modern
Yeah, we
one,
did.
similar to what's built in Chelsea, and it's been built recently in other boroughs. And we said the community, needs this, deserves it, wants it because it'll be less expensive than the very expensive places that are nearby, like Equinox. And so again, this is a somewhat difficult. It's a complicated topic because scoping 388 is one thing as a rec center. By the way, also, I think the rec center that was proposed is bigger, quite honestly, than I think any of us had thought to ask for. It's 5 stories, as you can see there.
Yeah, right.
Right? It's 5 stories, which, we thought it was a big win,
Is it that
just the
big?
fact that they could go down 2 stories, because that lot had never been allowed to do anything underground. And they said, we'll go 2 stories, build a pool. And so some people think the building's too big, and because of the 5 stories, it's a complex topic.
We can do a yes and, we can propose separate resolutions on either, covering either way, like we prefer to have one, and then
Right.
we also still want Dapolito because
Right.
the community output has already been vociferous.
Right.
So there's something to be said about how we can just say, like, we already have this one, and then we will take anything you give us, because we'll
Be more, yeah,
I want both.
help me be more specific. We want both.
Oh,
both is a
okay.
question.
Well, now I'm confused because I thought the community output had been pretty loud about how badly they want Tony Depp not just reopened, but soon.
There is a board position against demolition
Yes.
of
And
Tony
there-
Dapolito that
But-
came out of landmarks, but it is a board position now.
Yeah, and it's about demolition, but actually what would go into it has not been discussed. And
Right.
I don't think Village Preservation has said, it has to be a yoga studio or it needs to be
All right, so
it's,
there we go. 2 different things.
other than outdoor pool, I think is that everyone's adamant about, and the Keith Haring thing. There's really not consensus on the rest. And so there's a lot of input that's required here.
Yes.
Yeah,
I just have a question. What is land use going to comment on then? Is it just going to comment on the design of the building? But not.
Land use has already commented.
Yeah, land
Because it
use-
was presented.
Land use
to
has an
land.
opinion.
Land use has not commented yet. It was just a report. There
no,
was-
on that.
No.
No, on 388, on the most recent presentation?
Yeah.
It wasn't a resolution. No, it was a report.
yes, it was a report, but we already commented on enough to get what we got, right? We wanted a
Yes.
yes, so we're on track for that. But my point is that if, and speaking about Washington Square Park and the gates, we're looking into the history of that and trying to understand the context.
Yeah, I know where you're going. Yeah.
Thank you. Then we should do the same thing about Dapolito. I've been on the Parks Committees for 14 years, since 2012. Arthur Schwartz was the chair. We climbed to the top of that building. It became obvious that we weren't going to be meeting there anymore. They shut it down. We started to get reports from the Parks Department about the money they were investing. And I recall that some of us at the committee started to have our skin crawling because they were investing so many millions of dollars in something that one iteration after the other was never going to open up. Now, the question is, did we ever actually ask Parks to stop investing in the?
Yes,
let's look into this before we.
Yeah.
We did.
How many millions did they tell us about?
Yeah.
Right? Over how many years?
It was topic of conversation of how much has been put in and how much do you think needs to be put in. There was
Is it good money after that?
Right.
I don't think we ever read a
Coming
resolution.
back.
Well, but let's look into that
Another part
because you keep very, very good notes.
Well, they're all.
And this is not one of those situations where the Parks Department abandoned the building and allowed it to fall into disrepair so that the only resort was to demolish.
No, but that's what's
This is
being.
not one of them.
But Berman is saying
But
that
let's
very
look
clearly.
into our notes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
And see what can we do about
Okay.
supporting what our position was.
No,
It was
I
not
agree.
unconsidered.
No, you're right. That's a good point. The history is pertinent.
Can I?
I agree with Frederica, and I just wanted to enhance that a little bit by saying we had several meetings where the Parks Department would come to us, show us an improvement, come to us again and say, oh, another part fell apart.
Right, or we did.
And then they would move that, and then they'd come back again and say, oh, another part fell apart.
Establish the trail here.
So, yeah,
It's a real money pit.
They're all in.
The master plan presented at some point, do you remember that?
What do you mean?
Kind of master plan for the renovation of the pool area of Tony Dapp, and there was a question about whether it was throwing good money after bad.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
but there was also, they talked about how much it leaked and how much would. And also that ADA requirements, because it was built a long time ago before them, made it.
Rebuilding basically together with duct tape.
But now it would basically be one lane or two lanes
Exactly.
instead
And
of
also
five. Yeah.
the basketball courts couldn't be regulated.
Yeah, that's all true, right.
Let's reconsider.
Yeah.
It seems like there are a couple of different things here. One is the rec center at 388 is going to be built, no matter what. And that's great. I mean, I personally think that's great.
I continue to endorse.
It is part of the RFP and it is part of the design that's been presented. We have not scoped it, and I think it would be great for us to receive a presentation with details where we can say a yoga room, yes, a media room, no, whatever it is.
Good thought.
And that is a separate issue from Tony Dapp.
Yeah.
This building is going to have a rec center no matter what. Now, Tony
Let me
Dapp.
just stop you there, because one of the issues that Village Preservation has raised on the new building is that it's taller than it needs to be. And part of the reason it's taller than they suggest it needs to be is because the rec center is bigger than it could be.
Fine. I mean, I don't think that that's what's making.
I'm just telling you,
I think that people are.
Hold on,
incensed.
there's everyone, hold on, just let Susanna finish.
I think people are incensed about the idea of demolishing the building. Whether the building can be preserved or not has yet to be determined. There are people who are saying it cannot be preserved, saying they can.
Expert, right?
That needs to be sorted out. That is a separate issue.
Okay.
I think we have been presented with the opportunity to have an aquatic center there. That would be very lovely. We have not scoped that. We have not gone into the details about that. All of that would be resolved after there's a determination about what, if, and how much of Tony Dapp can be preserved. And I see it as a completely separate issue from the scoping of 388.
Yeah, but let me explain why that's not the case. Because if you went to the demonstration on the street or the rally, what the ralliers were saying was you don't need as much space at 388 if you put it in Dapolito. Now, that
different.
You want to run between the two places?
No,
In your bathing suit
no,
or in
that's
your
what- yeah.
shorts?
100%.
That may be the case,
Yeah.
but even
my
if you
child.
were to renovate Tony Dap to what it had been,
Yeah.
it still has terrible shortcomings as a building
Yeah.
that 388 resolves. My understanding of a lot of the ire over Tony Dap is people want a Publix
Yeah.
rec center.
Yeah.
And the possible demolition of Tony Dap with the loss of the use of Tony Dap has been conflated.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's on us to separate those issues.
That's what I'm trying to do here. That's a conversation. So
Can I just point out, apropos of the scoping, have you ever looked at the RFP for the building?
yeah, for
That's
388.
extremely.
That is very detailed.
That is very detailed,
That's true.
right? So if we want to scope it, what are we waiting for?
Yeah, that is
We
true.
should look at
That's very detailed.
what they've itemized and then talk about what we like about it and what we don't like about it. The other thing is, not in favor of two half-assed rec centers,
Half-tookist.
looking
For the
more
recording.
for
Yes.
a really
Right.
robust one.
Yeah.
And what are the chances that the city thinks that, is that you?
No.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Sorry. What are the chances are that we think that the city needs, that CB2 needs two full-service rec centers
But there
on the same block?
It wouldn't be full service. We know that 388 can't have an outdoor pool.
Yeah.
Can't have a
We'll
what?
take-
An outdoor pool. That was one thing that was said. It couldn't be there.
Cannot be done.
But if people
have a
really
key-
want it, then that needs to be at the site that is the Dapolito footprint, not the building.
Right. Dapolito cannot house full regulation size anything.
Basketball courts or
Okay.
they can get close
Right.
with pools, right?
So to ask it to expand is not going to happen.
Right.
And the preservation of the mural has never been
Question.
disputed.
Right, everybody's-
From the very
Yeah.
beginning.
Although the mural has been repainted
Yeah.
That is their
by
point.
somebody who was not Keith Haring.
And it will
So
have to be.
I mean, but that's
once it's been repainted,
Banksy. Yeah.
is it really,
It's only
right, is it
Banksy.
really
Yeah.
still?
Well, this is the nature of modern.
All right.
Now we're really deep into the woods on
Let me
it.
just see if I can.
I'm just saying.
To us that it would be
It's still
renovated with
by the
it would be renovated with the Keith Haring Foundation.
Wouldn't that be great?
Just let me pause for a second. Again, the goal here is how as a committee do you help us figure out how to structure the conversation in a way that allows us to write very strong resolutions for, I think, two questions. How do we feel about 388? And how do we feel about Dapolito, specifically the demolition of it? Yes.
It's going to take two
Not
separate
demolition.
meetings in order to guarantee that people who come to one meeting don't talk about the other thing. Because if we're going to guarantee that we have two separate resolutions about two separate issues,
Yeah.
we have actual direct, no convolution, no
Yeah.
like crossover. And I'm sorry to go back to an earlier point too, but like I do collapse training professionally. And at one point, Village Preservation explained that there's no such thing as a pancake collapse. And that is a federally, New York State and locally accepted conversation about how one of the 6 different types of collapse. So
You're talking about
I'm talking about how Village Preservation, when they say things like a building is too tall, and then they also tell me that
a building.
there's a kind of collapse that doesn't happen. I don't agree with them on most of these conversations.
I just-
That's a separate thing because I think the actual solution that we're talking about is 2 separate meetings.
Okay, there is just again to point out, the trouble there is this ongoing debate that says, if you just did it at 388 and just renovated, if you just renovated Dapolito, you wouldn't have to be as big at 380.
Of course,
that's
I know. I know.
Yeah, but that's not necessary.
I just want to clarify what we're really addressing here. You're talking about height, but that's not really our problem.
You're right, that's a good point.
Although it's not a concern.
Yeah.
Relevant.
So what do we eliminate to talk about?
We live in New York City.
Do we focus only on the rec center, 380?
Well, I think you need to understand.
Go ahead, Valeria.
Yeah, I think you need to understand on 388, what phase of construction or what part of the design phase are they in? Are they still in schematic design where feedback can actually be acted on? And if it's not, if it's already in CDs, which is construction documents, then the ball has moved down the court. So I think we need to understand first so that we don't waste anyone's time.
That's true.
Very important.
Okay, but
Yeah.
our
Well, in
purview,
fairness, we
our
do
purview
want to
find
is
that
the rec center part.
Well, then, if we're not approving it, at least we need to review it so
Yes.
that everyone understands the scope, right?
And the other thing I want to point out is, I haven't read the landmarks, reso, but did they in the landmarks reso just, endorse the not demolishing it? Or did they cover the use also? Because we could say they did not, just demolishing. So there's nothing to be said. There's nothing against our reusing the building for another purpose.
Except, no, Parks Department said it is defined as park and it will stay as park. There was no suggestion.
Okay, that was then during the Adams administration.
Right.
And there was a guy from Adams' office who, when he was asked about the possibility of putting affordable housing, because that is one of our few public lands where we could have affordable housing up above, he was not in favor. But we have a new mayor, right? We have a new ballgame.
Wonder if to be alienation at the same.
Yes, alienation is, they call it alienation because, excuse me, it's a process, it exists, it's not impossible, right? HPD did a great job of putting together a multi-agency effort for the building here, okay? We could do it again. And when people talk about this building out of context, if there's another one next to it, right? That's context.
You're creating the context.
Right? And that's a chance for us to really contribute to affordable housing.
But going back to the question for Rich about the role of this committee, I agree with Chris that our purview is to look at the recreational uses of the spaces. And we do need to opine. I agree, Valerie, it may be too late for them to make changes, but we need to see it and we need to comment on it.
You're talking about 388.
Yes.
I'm talking about 388. No, Tony Dapp is a building that we do not know what the use can be until we know what can or cannot be preserved. And that is a battle that's going on with landmarks and with others. When that has been determined, then we can decide how it should be scoped.
Okay, so can it be saved? What can be saved? What can be done there? What is proposed to be done there?
Right.
All right, so we need that. That is a conversation. That is a Parks Committee. We need the Parks Department to say to us officially, right? That is.
Tony Dapp.
Right, Tony Dapp, sorry. As far as 388, the reason, again, I mean, it's kind of, when you see the renderings, you say, yeah, I want that. It looks nice. And it's a big basketball court. It's 94. Official basketball court is 94 feet by 55 feet. It fits in there. It doesn't, that can't be done in the Dapolito footprint. Right?
No, and also, if you really have a problem with the height of this building, I mean, I don't think, well, whatever, I'm not gonna get it.
I'm sorry. All right. Let me ask Valerie, Valerie, I'd like your opinion here. See it as two separate conversations? Or
I think it's two separate conversations. I think the public is going to try to conflate it.
Yeah.
But it is two separate conversations.
Okay.
I think it's three.
Okay, propose that.
Two that you have described,
Can it be?
plus a joint meeting with the land use committee to talk
Mm-hmm.
about the building as a whole. Right? I mean, are we in danger in
Which one?
CB2 of having too much affordable housing?
Oh, I mean,
Well, you know that my fantasy of having.
You want land use for, wait, what's the joint
She's
meeting?
saying to talk about both
I'm talking, no,
locations,
listen.
landmarks, right?
This building meets
388.
the requirements that the land use committee
Yeah.
talked about in their resolution. So
Uh-huh.
I'm down with this, right? Maybe it's a little bit too big, but I don't want less affordable housing.
Yeah.
I'm happy with
And
this.
it's cool. It's got
Then
1,
there's
2, and 3
the
bed.
other building, the park's
Tony
use of
W.
it.
Yeah.
And there's the potential for it being one of our very few public land parcels in CB2.
So you say,
Library there, that is also city property.
Really amazing.
That could also make the
Amazing.
renovation.
What do you propose?
So I'm
4
proposing that
meetings?
to talk about the site, the Dapolito site as a whole
Okay.
would be us and the land use.
So land use and parks about Dapolito.
About the whole.
It was last August. Well, I know it was the previous administration. It was designated designated as for parks
That's right.
uses. So I'm hesitant on trying to create some new work for ourselves here in that realm.
Well, you know what? I'm all for that new work.
Well, let me go back to the,
But
It's not one or the other, it's just that it's already been designated.
yeah, but let me just go back. I mean, we're going to have, I think our committee should have a position and we should write a resolution
on
on Dapolito. Because we do not have a position as a committee on what's being proposed in Dapolito.
Right, and I think that it's not for us to dictate the speed of parks in coming to us with that. It's when they have the information.
Yes.
Because they didn't have it, which is why it wasn't a topic, but that's what people thought this meeting was going to be.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons. But let me be honest with you. One of the other reasons is, they want to be prepared because they get abused by those who, there's a coarseness to the dialogue when village preservation is involved. And so they want to be prepared for those conversations.
I think Carter has his hand raised.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question though? What exactly would we be saying in a resolution for or against? We are for demolishing it. We are for preserving it.
We have to.
What? I
We
mean,
have a resolution against demolition. This board has a position on that. I don't think we can say what if we haven't been presented the information yet. It's kind of.
we do not necessarily need to have a resolution about Tony Dapp. That is my.
I think what we need to know is what's being presented there or what's being proposed to be done there.
But
It's not the history in our resolutions before, which I think can be brought in.
It can be brought in, but
But to form a background.
Yeah, as a form of background, yes, but I think there's a need for us to weigh in on what's being proposed there. If it's part.
It is being proposed.
Oh,
I know.
Okay, I know, but
So can we just decide when we're?
Resolution, we can't
From
do
a
it.
programming standpoint.
We will decide once we see it.
I'm raising my hand.
So do we ask Parks
When
to
they come to
present?
us.
Yes, we are waiting for the expert opinion and we're waiting for the official proposal.
So we decide at a time.
Until we get that proposal.
So until then, we have no need to write a resolution.
No, but that.
No, just, you guys are.
Plus, remember, it also would go to landmarks. Anything that would dictate something beyond would also go to the landmarks.
Yeah, I'm just, again, this is a choreography exercise.
Yeah.
Who needs to weigh in on what things in what order?
Okay, but just limiting our scope to parks projects, okay? There can be a group of people who persist in thinking that it should be a rec center.
Yeah.
And there's a group of people who are listening to the Parks Department say they want it to be an aquatic center.
Yeah.
So you could boil the decision down to, do we want a duplicate rec center or do we want an aquatic center? All right, once the Parks Committee has come out with a reso on that, then is, I think, the time to have a meeting with the Land Use Committee to talk about what's going to go above.
Well,
and do we want to squander that opportunity or not?
Yeah, you're taking us down another path.
Well, I'm looking.
I'd like to hear what Carter has to say. He's had his hand raised for a long time.
Carter, why don't? Yeah, okay, Valerie. Carter, would you like to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different issues going on here, but one of the core issues is that we're hearing from our electeds now is an affordability issue, right? And this is one of the few city-owned sites. And one of the issues is recreation. You know, the city's cost for a recreation center is uniform across the city. I believe if you are a member of one, you can go to all of them. And here's an opportunity with the Dapolito Center to expand, and perhaps they already own it, but to also expand the city's offerings in a way that can be accessible to people here. So we might be jumping over issues, but the city is not acquiring new spaces to have this. And it's here, and there's many other offerings that they can't offer at other places that they could offer here. I don't think they're going to have a duplicate of what's across the street. It would instead probably be something complementary or new. And I think it's a mistake to jump ahead when a part of affordability is just having city-owned resources to use. And to advocate to get rid of something that we constantly hear from the city that they cannot acquire in our neighborhood, I think is a step in the wrong direction when we're hearing the biggest concern is, hey, what can we as a city do with the resources we have? And that, I think, if you start with that, then you start with a better path that makes people more comfortable about what a use could be there, because disposition of the asset is what everybody is super concerned about. And I'm not sure that's something that has been really advocated except, by a couple of people. So I think that that's just something to consider and maybe frame it in a little larger level first to get rid of some of the larger concerns.
Well, let me say that, let me just be clear then. I want to be clear on our request to the Parks Department. And in terms of having them share information with us, what they can do in the very short term is tell us what is in the proposed scope and design for 388 Hudson's Mosaic Building.
Yep.
It's already done.
Yeah, we should have it presented. They also want to talk about programming that's going to go into it and all that, but they're not ready for that, but they want to describe that. The difficult part is that is then to say this is a separate conversation from Dapolito, because there are those who will say we don't need 388 if you just renovated Dapolito, and so we can't totally separate them. There has to be at least an explanation that this can't be built there.
I think that that's a minority opinion.
I think to Carter's,
I think it's in a minority. I mean,
Carter's position is to the latter point of what is the Dapolito opinion. And look, Parks is not ready to present the expert opinion on what can be saved. And Parks has not, I've not heard of an official position on what would be done there, because that's sort of dependent on what can be renovated or not. Yes.
I mean, I think the explanation for why we're keeping it separate, like, makes a lot of sense. Like, it's very clear that, like, if we say what's being put in at the rec center at 388, we like this. This is all good, and there's 5 floors of it. It's great. There's no version of Tony Dapp where we could have these things.
Yeah.
Therefore,
That's very important.
It's like completely separate.
I agree with you. I think there's a little bit of a feeling that this is a setup. You're going to make everyone say they want this, and then that's going to knock out the possibility of doing stuff with Dapolito. But I agree with you.
but is it fair, Rich, to say that that train has left the station? I mean, 388 is getting built, and it's getting built with a rec center in it. So that's the fact on the ground.
Yeah.
We need to have an opinion about what we can still have an opinion about, what our role is, which is the rec center. That's not going away. I mean, if tomorrow they decide that they can renovate Tony Dapp from the top to the bottom, they're not going to get rid of this rec center at 388. They're not.
Do we
By the
really
way,
want
we
to ask them to make it
requested it in
smaller?
the first place.
Some people do.
Right? Do we want to
Some
make it
people do.
smaller? Because there has never been a question at Dapolito that you could make the pool bigger or you could make the basketball court bigger.
Yeah.
So why do we want to persist in that vein?
And again,
So what's-
it's not the purview of the Parks Committee. Like, people may want to make the argument like, well, we could have some stuff at Tony Dapp and keep 388 shorter, but that is like the impact of 1 or 2 floors being there or not is not.
Not
I don't see it as being our purview.
So what what topic are you trying to get our inputs?
I'm trying to structure the conversations so that as a committee, that represents our community, we can have all relevant information presented to us, and we can, as a committee, create proposals to bring to the full board.
For 388 or for 3?
I think it's for both. I think it's 388, and then I think there's and then there's scope of, and then there's a Dapolito thing, probably with land use, probably with landmarks, et cetera.
I would argue that, that we don't need to weigh in on Tony Dapp at this point. I think it's premature.
Okay,
I think that it doesn't, I mean,
well,
from the perspective of our committee, the landmarks is a different role. But from the perspective of our committee, we look at the role of we look at recreational opportunities. And we don't know anything about Tony Dapp, about its future, so I think it's premature. I don't think there's anything on the table, except for.
But I think that's also.
And if people want to conflate those issues, I'm sorry, those are not conflatable issues. Those are.
I think that's also an argument to separate the two and just focus on 388 because we don't know enough about Tony Dapp. So let's just focus on.
I'm telling you that I agree with you. That's not, when Janine goes and speaks at the rally, or when all the other people who are running for office, are asked their opinion.
So to be clear, Janine was speaking on behalf of the board as designated by me because I was not able to be there. Our landmarks chair and landmarks vice chair were not able to be there. So just to be clear.
What did Janine say, actually? Could you share that with us?
Rallies, that's our job.
I'm sure there's a videotape or an article somewhere, Frederica. I don't have it. I was not there.
Basically split the difference. She said, she said that Dappolito, that the community board does not want Dappolito torn down. And she said, and our community deserves a great rec center.
Okay, why the CB2 going to rallies? Why are we going to rallies?
My impression though is from a.
Happy to speak with you offline about that, Suzanne.
Is proposing an aquatic center there.
Yes.
So isn't that enough for us to have them do a presentation on that? And then we could work around it.
Yeah, it is.
Because there is something on the table. They're talking about an aquatic center.
Yeah, but I don't think
we're in favor of.
I don't think they can fully describe it until they get the feedback on what can be salvaged.
I think, that's, I agree 100% with what Susanna was saying, because my understanding, although it's my first meeting for this committee, but my understanding of this is we don't know the art of the possible with the existing conditions there. We essentially have what is a park space on park land, including a building that's closed.
Yeah.
We don't know what it could be like. Could they keep the shell and then completely renovate the interior? Could part of the shell be kept? The pool, presumably the outdoor pool theoretically could be renovated more easily than the building. So we don't know. We have parkland, there's lots of things you could do with it. Not even getting into the fact that if it's not parkland, but assuming it stays parkland, we can't make a recommendation until we know the art of the possible, right? Is that
okay? I think it's coming together. Yeah.
I would argue that our resolution has already been formed about this Tony Dappolito thing, that we have a lot of resolutions. We have a lot of things that we want. We want some more expediency. How much more than that? We have a history of things that we've already established, and then we're asking for more information from parks.
We don't really have a lot on Dappolito.
And we'd like more, is the point of this resolution.
But
for
how
me,
long
but
ago
at the same time.
did Trish come to the committee? And was that a real proposal? There was no funding.
No, it was
more information.
It was part of. It was actually
that corridor.
You're right. It was part of a broader corridor conversation.
July 2024, and then they came to landmarks in September of 2024.
July 2024.
There was a confusion with the Parks Commissioner at the time, who's no longer in that role, about what the board's position was on Dappolito.
So that's right. I think
there's the announcement of the reorganization of that whole area.
Yeah, that was the corridor discussion.
That was only 2024.
No, there was a corridor discussion last year in anticipation.
Right?
With her?
Yeah, with her, because she wanted our support in our capital request.
And Steve.
Okay, so when did she come?
I don't know. I could look, but I don't know.
Why aren't you do computer?
All right, so
I think I
you anybody can look. They're all online. Yes, I
Is it helpful?
I wanted to know what our committee would like to weigh in on. And I think the first one is an opinion on what's being proposed at 388. Whether it's in design, whether it's in what stage it's in, we haven't, land use has, we haven't. If there are changes to the building, we should have an opinion on what we would think is good there.
And more than 3
a
slides. would be
straw
nice.
poll to see if anybody on this committee wants the rec center to get smaller.
Raise of hands.
I think it would be nice to see.
I don't think that's the way to phrase the
slides
question.
about the
Yeah.
rec center. I mean, that was part of the big building presentation, but for us, it would be nice to have greater detail.
Yeah, I think we.
Then we can decide if we think it's too big.
Right, I think we should just.
What are you going to need? I mean, are we, do we love this thing or not?
Right.
Carter and Pete have their hands raised, Rich.
Okay, thank you. I think we need to be able to phrase it we need to pose the question in the right way, and we need to phrase it in a way that defends what will be a desire to reduce the building. That's all. The size of the building.
Would we talk about design?
What?
Would we talk about design or just the activity?
I think it's the design of the 5 floors of the rec center and the programming and the price and all those sort of things.
The community deserves.
Yeah.
Which the community deserves, right? And I want it compared to what other rec centers have been built in recently in other neighborhoods.
And the value of a low-cost recreational opportunity in an area that's as expensive as this. Because there's a lot of talk about losing the public facility of Tony Dapp, but hello, this is going to be a phenomenal public
We
facility.
haven't had that conversation. We haven't had that presentation. We haven't weighed in. We haven't expressed an opinion. That is one resolution I would like us to state.
So potentially coming out with strong support of what it is. Okay.
Yes, and anticipation of any we should have a conversation with others in the room. Everybody in the room who wants to weigh in on anything that they feel is wrongly positioned there.
And that has to do only with the 388.
Yes, I think we do just 388, and then we push Parks for when are you getting the expert, when are you getting the expert report, and when are you making an official proposal? And then they're going to say, we wanted to make sure 388 was, we didn't have a proposal for 388. It was a request for proposal until recently. So,
And actually for you new folks, by the way, it's great to have new folks. If you go onto the HPD site, you can find the RFP for the building and you can see their specs for the rec center.
So for pushing the Parks Department on details on Tony Dapp, is that a reso or is that just like?
No, it's a request for information. It's
Okay.
just communication. At this point, I'm not sure we can do it. But look, if we do, what I worry about in all things for newer people is that I just hate for us to be ignored one way or another. I hate for us to be cut out of the process, either because we didn't ask for it to be presented, or because we were deemed as not rational, or not pragmatic or not reasonable. And that's happened not in park stuff, but in other things. So all I want here is a way to get the information presented to us so that the community can weigh in. That's it. That's all I want. That's all I want to do. I look, in ways that are.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, our quick meeting's going longer. Who would you say? Pete, do you want to speak?
There's someone else.
See hands up.
I don't see any hands up.
Yeah, I had a different topic altogether.
Let me just finish up. There was anybody else who wanted to give an opinion on this? I think.
I'm putting my hand down. Because way lots of stuff to think about.
Yeah.
I'm not going to interfere with that. So
thank you. Thank you. I didn't want to do this. I wanted this to be a public conversation because I really didn't know how best to structure it. And I think I have a better position now. All right.
Rich, for this topic of discussion on 388, I think you should frame it that the board asked for the rec center, right? And those 2 specific items, and then just say, what are the other comments? Because we just want to, those are there, right? And instead of rehashing all of that.
Yeah, you're right. That's exactly right.
Point.
Just say we asked for this, and now there's more space, and however you want to frame it from there.
Yeah. Look, Parks wants to show it. They're really excited about it. They think it's wonderful. Yeah.
Right.
And they think it's quite a coup to find a way to build it,
And listen, if we had 4 rec centers, we'd still fill them up. There's an insatiable desire for recreational space.
And low cost.
Doing
right.
really 5 love recreating.
It was 3 floors.
You can see it in
Recreating?
the 2 to go underneath. to go down. You need to go two down to create the pool.
It's a DEP site.
All right, yeah, that was amazing. It was an incredible coup to go down,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that to build a basement or 2 floors.
Very exciting.
All right, well, thank you guys for hearing me out. And usually I have exactly what I know what I want to talk about. But both these topics are so big and unwieldy and have so much history, trying to clarify. And there's a lot of emotion in it because of the coarseness of the debate.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like no matter what, a 388 meeting, like, people will bring up Tony Dapp and that's fine. And we can say, thank you. And
well, we
focusing on
in a month.
Yeah.
388.
No,
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
we should put again, I think there's a soft diplomacy of asking parks to finally get an opinion on what can be done with that. I mean,
But when you talk about the coarseness of the debate, I thought that was shocking at the last meeting. I thought that Andrew really, his language was insulting to the, aesthetics are a matter of opinion. And to say
the
something.
aesthetics piece, yeah.
Yes, and isn't that what, I mean.
In the newsletters.
Yeah,
I mean, in the
Ban
newsletters.
for Andrew Berman?
No, I'm just saying that I want to be part of a constructive
Yeah,
dialogue.
I love
Not,
what I'm trying to
and
do.
people.
That's a
in
good
the-
pun.
and
That's a good
people
pun.
in the audience,
That's a great pun.
and people in the audience kind of took their cue from him and they were insulting.
Well, there's just the parks part.
These people fully
Right.
completed the scope that we gave them.
Right.
Yeah,
But Andrew's raised the fact that they're on a list of, bad landlords or something. So
Well, and I really want to thank you, Rich and Susanna, for shepherding such a strong partnership with the Parks Department over the years. And that's exactly why that came off the agenda, we've had just such a great partnership thanks to the leadership of this committee,
Thank you.
and why you're having this discussion now so that it can be framed appropriately to the best of our ability. We can't
Thank you.
control what other people how and other people say, but I just really want to thank you for that leadership.
yeah, thanks.
And it's a model really for other committees.
You're saying what I didn't feel comfortable saying. I value that partnership. And when we're polite to them, when we're appreciative of them, we tend to get more stuff done. And when they find that, if the conversations are really unfair, they can be challenging, but if they're just mean and unfair, they have other meetings to go to and they don't have to come to ours and they don't have to. So they want to be prepared. They want to be able to answer every question. And I don't want to set them up.
And to Eugene and Katie's credit on the land use.
They did.
They were very complimentary about HPD.
Yep.
That was something that I think our committee, some on land use also, we needed to hear that.
Yeah, they were
It would have
great.
been good to hear that all along. Those things really count for a lot
those
more
guys-
than people imagine.
And the people who presented were so appreciative.
Yes.
Andrew is an advocate and he's a very strong advocate and he has a
his job.
specific area of expertise for which he advocates. I think that we sometimes lose sight of the fact that his role, he is paid, his profession is to be an advocate for one very specific interest. And, the use of our recreational use is not part of his purview.
That's fair too. Thanks for pointing that out.
Part of
Good way of putting it.
That's true.
his job.
Yeah.
It's not his job.
That's fair too. All right. Well, thank you. Thank
Will
you
you
guys.
guys be taking a vote on the memorial, or is there no
Yeah.
resolution coming out of that?
Oh, yeah.
On the, we'll do a resolution on, that's why I asked the question. Is there anything that anybody wanted to raise in the resolution for the statue? And I think whether it was the lighting or, I have the notes on it. It seems like.
Unanimous.
You think they needed?
Anybody not in
I think it'd be helpful to.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we do resolution for installations. We do.
In this economy, I'm in favor of
I would have
an AIDS memorial.
I would have liked to write it earlier. They just didn't have anything to share with me about it. But yeah, that's why I was asking, are there any things, and that was we always worry about park safety. Susanna expressed some concern
Yeah, but
about
that
how
park is a big
issues.
success. I always do. It really is.
The park is a big success.
You know what?
Sometimes has issues that move from Washington Square Park.
You know who gets credit for that park? There was a woman, we were presented by the Rudin organization with the design for a park. And it was really bland. And we sort of like ho-hummed it. And this woman, and I don't know who it was, got up and she said, this is the gateway to Greenwich Village. You cannot have a park as bland and boring. This looks like a plaza. And they went back and changed the design and made it much better. And she just really crystallized what
The neighborhood is about.
Yeah.
It's in the, yeah, it is a success and it's something there aren't many new parks. They're very rare that a new park is done. And that is one thing we have gotten. It was mitigation for.
It has gates.
It was
mitigation.
Mitigation for a big development that billions of dollars.
Exactly.
Billions of dollars. All right, well, thanks, everyone. Thanks, Valerie. Thanks, Carter. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you all.
What's that? Pete said he was gonna take his hand out because we had enough to think about, didn't he?
Oh,
All right, which appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So moved.
We didn't want to talk about our park adoptions.
All right.